Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Welcome to All About the Bass. I'm Lee.
I'm Cece.
Nice to see you. We are here today with just gives you some tips, really, if you get a new bass. What's best to do with it, to maintain it, to get it set up to what you like, or to a sort of standard setup, and general maintenance ongoing, what you should be sort of looking at, really. Just a first quick dive into this today, and we might make this a bit of a thing with other little tips and tricks over the next few months or so. But stick around, and please, if you haven't before, please subscribe down below, like, whether it's that way or that way, I can't remember. One of those, you know, just click things down here. Sweet, okay, so what are we looking at first?
So, for me, if I get a new bass, first thing I do is change a string gauge to usually a lighter string gauge, because they ship with really heavy string gauges, but just one that you're comfortable with. Yeah,
which I'm even sort of thinking about that. If you're not too familiar with that, it might be something that you will get used to over like 2 or 3 string changes. You might want to just try a few different types. We've grabbed some, just like these. All Ernie balls, thanks Ernie's. Hybrid slinkies, just because these tend to be what are set up on most basses, 45s to 105s when they come out of the factory. Not particularly Ernie ball, that's something we'll get on to, because they won't be Ernie's ball strings on this. It'll be a manufacturer of some sort, or sometimes they even make their own strings just to send them out with something on.
I think if you're not sure what string gauge you need or what you like, of course you can, like, over time try different ones, see what you like, but for the sake of this video, there are quite a few other things you can do to make the bass more comfortable for you overall, and then once you've sort of had a go with some different string gauges, you can get a bit more of a feel, or you might like the one that's already on it. Okay. So just kind of like keep this step in mind, but everything that comes after it, if you're not sure on strings, just do that first, see where you're at, and then tackle the string problem.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing I would look at as well is just sighting down the neck. So either holding it from that end or this end, pulling it up, just having a look. So you've got a straight edge with the string normally, because that's going to be nice and straight. And what we're looking for is to see if the neck is as straight as the string, really. You may find that it's either bowed a little bit this way, and then you won't be getting many notes out of it, because it'll be just like rattling away. Yeah. And then, or it could be like that. And then that'll be quite hard to actually push down the note, you know. So we're looking for something that's pretty even. I know some people get it set up with just a teeny little bit of bending.
Yeah,
but
a bit of relief.
That'll be preference over time, you'll get used to, you know. So, so yeah, actually, I might leave that there. I'm just going to sight this way, so you won't be able to see much, but okay, cool. Right, so yeah, we have got that concave
relief.
Yes, relief.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get me Allen keys out, or my hex keys, wherever you are situated in the world, and give this a try. So you will find either a truss rod adjustment right here on the headstock. You may have one down there as well. If you do, we'll say as well, say either or. If you do have it down here instead, you may need to take off the neck. So depending on what bass you've got, just beware of that, you know, because some basses, especially older basses, you need to take the neck off to actually do some adjustments, which isn't the best thing to be doing or the easiest thing to do. So you'll find a lot of modern basses will even have a cutout if it's down here, so in the scratch plate, so you can actually get an Allen key in without having to take all the neck off. So it may be here or here, but it does the same thing. And so I will start adjusting. At the moment, we are bowing like this. So I'm going to go, oh my God, what is it?
Yeah, clockwise.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to go clockwise with this. Okay, cool. So we've got it pretty much straight. I've got like just a teeny little bit of bow still in the neck. Just thought, just in case it's a different tension with these strings that we put on, so we can do final adjustments at the end. So I think, yeah, let's get the strings off and
do a restring.
Yeah, and we'll show you what we can do, some like treatments of the neck as well. So bear with us. We
have one of those.
We have a treat. Look at this. So yeah, if you don't have one of these, a normal string winder will be fine for bass, that is, or you can use your hands really. But just for speed, might as well use this. I've never used one of these. Right, bear with us. Okay, sweet. So we are slackened off I'd probably recommend to do it like that instead of, actually, Ben in our acoustic video that we did a little bit of this maintenance as well, made a very, very good point. Don't just come in strong and snap the strings off with full tension. It's, you want to treat these things a little bit delicate. Obviously the tension in the neck is just going to make it a major adjustment very, very quickly, you know, so you want to let it settle down when you release the tension a little bit. Yeah, don't go in like, gung-ho.
Plus, if you're a weirdo like me and you like to keep certain strings for sentimental reasons.
Yeah, okay, good shout. Beautiful.
There we go.
Nice one, thank you, Cece. A new bass like this, hopefully it won't be dirty. Not from Andertons. Not from Andertons.
Not from Andertons.
Oh, no. But if you've been gigging a while and you're using the bass quite a lot, it will build up all the funk. All the layers of funk on this.
Sometimes as well, if it's been shipped quite a long way, they can get a little bit
That's true. Yeah,
gritty.
even strings. Actually, I've seen that on frets sometimes, where the frets can just oxidise in transit. And so there's a few things you can do with that. I mean, there's different things. This is made by Dunlop. I know the Dario do a version of this as well. You might think, what the hell is that little silver thing? It's been used quite a bit, this particular one, but this is like a microfiber kind of polishing for the frets. So it works the same way as wire wool. I mean, wire wool will probably bring it up a little bit more shiny, but this is just to bring any corrosion and really shine up the frets. So they're nice and smooth, especially when you're bending strings, where you don't get those gritty kind of feelings, you know. So. But you can use wire wool, but with that, I normally mask up all of the frets, which...
Oh, we have a thing for that.
Ah!
Oh, do we?
One of these.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, normally, if you've got masking tape and wire wool, you can do it that way. But, say these clever things, again, by Dunlop, you've got these little fret collars. So that can isolate, so you're not scratching at the actual wood, you're just placing these over the frets, which that might be a little bit small, but I've got another one. Like so. Oh, perfect, look at that. Right, okay, so we will do just a little bit of this, just put it over the fret, and give it a little bit of a buff. You guys might not have been able to see, but just take my word for it. There's an extra level of shine now on that fret than there was on that one, right? So I'm just gonna do the rest of these and then we'll get on to some treatment of the wood, right? So give me 2 secs. We're there. Right, nice.
While Lee was polishing away there, I also cleaned the body as well, just to kind of save on time. I was using Dunlop Formula number 65.
Ah, it's a good one, that 65. Good year.
Good
65.
smell, good smell. And just a microfiber cloth.
Neck-wise, I think what we've got here, we have string cleaner and some cleaner polish. Do you know what? I might get, because we've got some rosewood here, if we've got some lemon oil around, they're sure they'll survive. 2 secs. Instead of lemon oil, we found this, which is amazing. It says Lee on it, actually. That's weird. Thank you. You shouldn't have, guys. Thanks. Cheers.
It was made for you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not the most important Lee around here, definitely. Now, this is Monte Espresso. So this is a fretboard cleaner, but also like a dye. It more sort of actually stains the wood to make a darker colour, which is cool. I mean, like. You might not want that, but you know, if that's your thing, this is quite a light fretboard, so if you want to make it look like a nice, dark, rich rosewood, then apparently this is.
I'm guessing it puts
your trick.
moisture back in the wood, which will like make it appear darker as well.
Sweet, that's it, yeah. No, I've never used this. Let's have a look.
I've never tried this, so I'm curious.
This is interesting. Okay, right, let's have a little look. So, straight on.
Oh yeah, that looks more healthy.
Cool. Oh yeah, look at that straight away. I'm just going to do a quick layer of everything, so everything's treated, and we'll be back. Oh, okay. I'm just going to go, right, so you've just seen, I've gone over every fret with this Monte Espresso, Monte Guitars, thank you for that. That was really cool. I'm just going to have literally just a quick buff on the frets, because I think I got quite a bit on the frets, just to shine them back up a little bit.
Yeah, so that's one of the first things I look at when I get a new bass is how dry is the fretboard?
Yeah, good shout.
It feels horrific to play on a dry fretboard anyway, and basically, you can tell if your fretboard is too dry because it'll look really pale and it'll feel, under your fingers, it'll have a kind of like grippy feel, and it just feels dry. Your bass probably isn't going to be particularly happy if it's got a really dry fretboard, so putting moisture back into it is going to make it a lot happier and feel a lot nicer. Also makes it look a lot nicer. Personally, I do this once a year on each base. It lasts quite a long time when you hydrate the neck. You'll notice it throughout the year kind of getting paler again. And then as soon as you add more on, obviously you're adding moisture so it gets darker.
Yeah.
That would be my kind of routine with it.
Sweet. If you're gigging like all the time as well, you know, you might have to do this a little bit more often.
I think changes in atmosphere as well, like if it's really humid or really dry, really hot, etc., it's going to kind of affect the fretboard as well.
Totally, that's a really good
wood.
point. Yeah, this is it. And actually, yeah, on that point, that's a really good point. Like as we were adjusting the truss rod earlier, you know, that's pretty much what that is designed for. You know, big long bit of metal through this neck. Just so, if it gets more humid in the summer, or you know, I'd say just damper in the winter, things are going to move. Or if you're storing it possibly near a radiator, don't do that. But yeah, anywhere in the different warmths and different humidities in different houses, you'll see it go out. So just keep an eye, really, and you know, adjust as you need. This, if you can get into it, this should be kind of standard sort of maintenance that everyone is able to do. You know, really, just to save yourself some money as well, and gain some knowledge and be confident with what you're holding. You know, so
because a lot of this stuff, like, it seems really scary, but it is just a case of like, as long as you do things incrementally and you give things a chance to settle, you can't really go massively wrong with it. So it's just a case of learning, like it's just a learning curve, and once you've done it you kind of get more comfortable with it and you get a feel for what it is that you need to do next time.
Absolutely. Tuning pegs, before we do anything sort of down here and put any strings on, sometimes you'll have screws that hold them in, so if you need to tighten anything up, like that sort of thing, I normally do that at this stage, you know, just so there's nothing sort of rattling around before you put some tension on it. Actually, we have some extra special stuff. I don't have any of this, which maybe I'll give this a go actually. It's got a great name. This is Nut Sauce by Big Ben's Nut Sauce. So yeah, this is to lubricate your nut. We all need to do this sometimes. And you don't need too much, but what we're going to do is literally just squeeze a little bit in here so it doesn't inhibit the string, as it were. You want it moving smoothly. I'm tripping over my tongue as well. Yeah. Moving smoothly. So we'll put a little bit on here. Teeny bit in each. We have our nut sauce. We've done our frets. We've done the wood. We've hydrated everything. Should put some strings on, probably.
Definitely.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, right. So, oh yeah, lovely people at Ernie Ball sorting this out with some strings.
I'm that person at the cinema eating popcorn in the private.
So yeah, we'll show you guys how to align one string. Best little tips and things to keep in mind, and then we'll fast forward so you don't have to watch the rest of us. Skipping over yourselves. Beautiful.
You basically just feed it through the hole. Make sure that it's resting in this little indent here. So it should just slot in.
Beautiful.
Slot it into the nut.
Yes, nice. Right, this is where you've got just a little bit of an adjustment to do, because the strings come. The strings come at a standard length, so you can incorporate different scale length bases, really. But generally, the rule is quite good with this. I normally just go by 2 tuning pegs.
Yeah, I do too.
Do you do the same thing? Right, yeah. So
it can differ depending on like if you've got a split headstock though.
Oh, good shout. Yeah, if they're either
if
side of the
the tuning pegs are like 2 either side, or if they're 4 on going up one side.
So from here, I'm just going to cut the string off here. And with bass strings, slightly different to guitar string. Well, vintage guitar tuners will have the same thing, but we're generally going in straight away. And then we can get our bend here. Yeah, now I'm thinking, I'm round the wrong way. Here we go, right, so I'm going this way. So, I normally use the little trick, then just bend it over when you're straight down in the post, wrap it round. You can get it once, so you've got a loop. So you see we've got a little bit of tension here, but we've got this actually angled around the tuning peg. I mean, you'll look on like this. She's doing that in a moment. We'll sort that out. There's loads of ways to do this, but I've always just gone standard. You know, no fancy knots or anything like that. This will hold when we start getting it turned. So I'll start. I'll hold it here.
As you can see, it's important to keep a little bit of tension on the string as you're tightening it up, just to keep it in place.
Totally.
String winder.
String winder, oh yeah, yeah, cheers.
Wait, oh, it's there.
I'm going to use that for the rest of it. Look at that, right, okay. As you can see here, we've got a couple of wines going just below. I mean, that's not going to be a pitch, obviously, as it is, but that's good just to leave it a little bit of slack in that, and then we'll get it tuned up properly when we've got all the strings on. So we'll do that, and then we'll be straight back. Ha ha! Success! We have new strings.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just one thing to quickly mention as well, so of why we cut the strings to length instead of just kind of sticking them in and winding them all the way around.
Good point. Sorry, forgot about that.
So on the strings, you can see there's 2 winds on each of them, so loops round twice. That's about the kind of amount of loops you want. 3 is kind of okay, but maybe pushing it. The reason for that is because if you've got too many winds on the strings, you can get string slippage, and it makes the tuning really unstable, and basically your bass will keep going out of tune because the string isn't being held the way it should.
Totally. And it works the opposite as well, so you leave yourself without enough winds, and same thing, slippage or tuning issue. So it's, that Goldilocks zone of 2 to 3 loops. And this is on bass, obviously, so like guitar might be a little bit more, but yeah, totally. Bass, this is what you're aiming for. That's, perfect. Sweet, so there's a few things, we'll get out to pitch, I think tune it up, and I need to do another little adjustment just on the truss rod, because now we've got some more tension back in the neck. Oh wow, actually. See, that's interesting. So it probably has, it's relieved just off a little bit. Now as you're saying, we've let it sort of settle and rest a little bit. So that looks even straighter than I left it initially. So, which is nice, but it still needs a little bit of a tweak. So let's tune it up. We'll find a tuner. Sweet. Okay, we're up to roughly pitch. So we do that just to say get the correct amount of tension that you'll be normally using. I mean, on that as well, if you normally use different tunings and things, tend to set it up with the tuning that you want to use. I'm kind of saying like just flat, not too extremes, like if you were doing like all E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. If you're going like C drop tuning and things, that's when you've got to look at different gauges of strings, because you need to really set up the bass quite differently, like with guitars. Thicker strings could put more tension on the neck, so you have to do some little bit more setup. But for this, we'll just put standard tuning. There's a few techniques that you might see. I mean, it is good to get them settled in somehow, as it were, because they're fresh out of the packet. You may see like people stretching strings. This can damage either the inner core, like that's in these winds, or pull the winds apart and start allowing dirt to go in quickly. So either just settle them in, play something on the bass, and let it naturally just go out of tune, and then restring it, sort of tune it up again, and repeat until it sits in tune is a good way. Or just some delicate bending of the string up at the top or the bottom. Literally say, just to really seat it, tighten anything up here in the tuning pegs that's just still settling in, and you won't cause too much damage to the string as well. But you will tend to find that you could have to do that 3 or 4 times with most basses. So don't panic if you think, what are these strings?
Yeah, it's just because they stretch, and when they stretch, they lose tension, and so they go out of tune.
And then back up again and repeat until you're good. So we'll do that. Actually, I'm just going to tune it again, just so I'm roughly there before I start moving the neck anymore. We are there.
There's a couple of other things to look at. Some of it's kind of personal preference, like you could look up pickup height if you're finding, like, I'm a bit of a weird one because I like pickups to be quite close to the strings, because when I play, I kind of like to have my finger touch the pickup and kind of roll over the string, whereas I find if the pickups are too low, my fingers kind of get stuck under them. But on certain basses, that's possibly not such a good idea. In the case of this one, where you've got exposed pole pieces, so these are the little magnets, and if they're too close to the strings, the magnet can pull the string and kind of make it sound out of tune. Also, you could end up hitting the magnet with the string as you play, and it will create like a kind of popping sound. So that really depends on what bass you're using. If you're using like smooth soap bar pickups that don't have exposed pole pieces, then it might be an idea to kind of change the pickup height. In the case of this one, they're probably okay, but it's just something to consider if you don't have this kind of bass.
Great, yeah, nice.
Other thing is intonation.
So intonation is... What is intonation? Right, yeah, so that is...
What is it? Yeah.
So you have this on every instrument. You know, every instrument you're going to find that you still need to, even if you've got the string in tune, there might be something else going on with the neck. It might be just a slightly high fret somewhere, but generally it's the actual angles of the saddles on the bridge. So if they've moved out over time and just slipped, that is where you're keeping the perfect pitch of the instrument and the fretboard in line down there.
Yeah, so you've got this little screw here. If you play a note, like an open string, and you find that on the 12th fret that note is not in tune, but it is in tune when you play the open string, then there's a problem with your intonation. So if you need to alter your intonation, depending on whether the note is flat or sharp, will depend on whether you loosen this off or tighten it up. So
yeah, nice.
It's basically changing the distance between like this part of the bridge
where the string hits that saddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your breaking point, as it were.
Yeah. So when you've got those two closer together, obviously it's going to be, if your note is flat, then you're going to want to kind of bring them apart, and if it's sharp, you're going to want to closen them together.
Totally. So. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly that. The adjustment is, say, either sort of coming forwards towards the neck or back towards the bridge a bit more. The height doesn't tend to play in it. You can move them up and down as well. That tends to be more of a personal preference, or certain radiuses. The actual curvature of the neck might be slightly different, so you angle those slightly different. But yeah, we're talking about the actual fundamental tuning of the instrument. So
yeah,
it's important. It's important, and again, it's very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. You just might be playing around with this for a little bit when you first start, and then, oh my god, now I've gone too far. Now I've got too far back. You know, there's a little bit of that. It's very slight adjustments with these. So let's just check the G. The G is perfectly in tune as an open string. So this is the example. So if we then fret the harmonic,
it's actually perfect.
It's perfectly in tune. So we know that string is
intonated.
Great. And as Cece said perfectly, say if that was slightly flat or slightly sharp, you're going to be just adjusting to move the saddle backwards and forwards, retest, retune, then retest, see where you are, and say that's your intonation being set. So you do that for
all you
string.
need is like a little screwdriver. It's really simple.
Yeah, it's probably these things you just don't even think about. You're probably looking at these bits on the bass and go, okay, well that's a bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you know, but it's still until you actually get.
It seems really complex and scary, but it's not. No. Like once you've done it, it's like, oh, it makes sense.
Totally. Next bit is just last final tune up. Maybe even a final clean if you want to get like it bling, like really sparkling, really blinging from stage. You want like extra polish. So those lovely new Ernie ball strings and a fresh East Coast bass out of the box. We are good. We're good.
Yeah.
So
one final thing that I kind of wanted to mention is the action on the bass. So when you hear people talking about action, that is string height. So the distance, this gap here between the fretboard and the string.
Yeah.
It kind of sometimes is extremely high. So you talk about people with high action, that means that their strings are a long way away from the fretboard and you have to press quite hard to actually fret the note. Action is actually all about personal preference. Some people like a really low action, some people actually like a higher action, and if you're playing in lower tunings, a higher action is actually better because there's less string tension. But most people just like it kind of somewhere in the middle. If you do need to alter the action on your bass, all it is a little Allen key. The size of the Allen key will depend on the bass, and you just do little tiny adjustments either side of this, which will bring the saddle down on the bass, which is this bit here, and that will lower the string. But again, it's all about incremental steps, so little quarter turns, depending on if you want it up or down. Retest, check that it's not buzzing out, so like if you've made it too low, you won't be able to fret the note because it'll just buzz. And basically just repeat for every string until you find it comfortable, and away you go.
And you're good to go. Yeah, that's it. And that's a good point. Yeah, even from this this angle, as we haven't sort of actually picked up the bass yet and had a little play.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. That E string is looking
Quite
like
high. Now, I have such an unsteady hand, especially when I'm being filmed.
So, we are pretty much there. So this is just a few tips to get yourself started. If you hadn't, didn't know anything about this sort of stuff, then there's a little bit of information for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if you guys have already passed this stage, but it's just a little bit of interesting content to just give you an idea of how we do it, really.
Yeah. And if you are a total beginner, it seems really like picking apart every tiny detail, but when you've just started, this stuff is complicated to look at, and you don't always notice some of the little details, like even in the string tree, for example, there's little indents that you should rest the string in, and just little tiny stuff like that you might not necessarily notice. And hopefully this has been helpful.
Totally, yeah, it's refreshed my knowledge as well. I'm like, it's like quite nice to break it all down. But I don't even think about this anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, of course this is going on. So there we have it. Let's we'll plug it in, see what sort of job we've done. Hopefully it's half decent. And but we'll see you very soon. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been out the bass, all about the bass. Oh, I can't even speak anymore.
It's been about the bass.
It's been about the bass.
It's been about this bass.
It's been about this bass. Right. So we'll get plugged in and we'll see you very soon. Thank you very much. Ta-ta. Thank you.